The interrogation room reeked of gun oil and the ego of men who thought they'd never lose. Officer Daniel Reed lay lifeless on the floor, heart flatlined, skin turning cold. Paramedics shouted orders, but Hope was slipping fast. Then Shadow, his loyal German shepherd, slammed his paws against Daniel's chest, refusing to accept death. One bark, one heartbeat, then another. A life dragged back from darkness by loyalty stronger than fate itself. Night poured over Cincinnati like ink, the training yard behind District 3 glowing under harsh white floodlights. The air smelled of metal containers, cold asphalt, and adrenaline sharpened into duty. Lieutenant Liam Parker, a 48-year-old veteran officer with a weather-creased face and silver-streaked dark hair clipped short against regulation, tried to hide the tremor in his chest. His broad shoulders still carried the strength of his Army service years, but life had whittled him down. A marriage lost to cancer, a daughter grown and far away, and a quiet fear gnawing at his ribs every time his heart stuttered. His blue-gray eyes were the kind that had seen fire and kept walking, steady but tired. He carried himself with reserved dignity, rarely raising his voice, a man who had learned long ago that calm saves more lives than bravado. Running beside him was Bruno, a 5-year-old German shepherd with a muscular build and black and tan coat that gleamed beneath the lights. His ears stood alert like twin sentinels, and his amber eyes missed nothing, not a twitch in the shadows, not a hitch in Liam's heartbeat. Loyalty clung to Bruno's every movement. He wasn't just a K-9 partner. He was the last piece of Liam's courage that hadn't worn out. Ahead, Sergeant Tyler Brooks, 32, barked orders with a pointed aggression that came from insecurity disguised as leadership. He was tall, athletic, with close-cropped blonde hair and a jawline hard enough to cut steel. A man who believed respect should be demanded, not earned. Tyler's cocky smirk held bitterness from a childhood he never mentioned. An absent father and a mother who struggled to raise him left him convinced that weakness was the worst crime a man could commit. To him, Liam's age and slower pace were unforgivable. "Pick it up, Grandpa," Tyler called out, smacking the side of a metal container with a baton to echo his mockery. A few younger officers laughed. Officer Brad Collins, sharp-tongued but forgettable with sandy hair and a wiry frame. Officer Eric Moore, heavier, cheeks flushed red with the thrill of belonging to the pack. Liam said nothing. Words cost breath, and breath was in short supply tonight. His chest tightened, like invisible hands squeezing around his heart. He tried to shrug off the warning pulse, that electric jolt beneath the sternum he had been ignoring for months. Not tonight, not in front of them. He couldn't give Tyler that victory. Bruno slowed, pushing his shoulder against Liam's leg with a soft grunt, his instinct screaming danger. Liam forced a reassuring whistle through dry lips. "I'm fine, buddy," he whispered, though his lungs burned like broken glass. The training exercise was supposed to simulate a hostage breach through a maze of steel crates. Flashbangs popped and rolled across the pavement. Smoke from the mock explosions curled into the air, stinging eyes and memories alike. Liam blinked through the haze and kept moving, heart hammering faster. 100, 120, too fast. His mind drifted for a moment to Emma, his daughter, slender and determined with her mother's auburn hair and gentleness hardened into ambition. She was halfway through the police academy, dreaming of saving people the way her father once had. Liam wanted to be there when she graduated, wanted to watch her step proudly across that stage, wanted to live long enough to see her outrank him someday. The world tilted sharply. The lights blurred. He staggered behind a container where shadows swallowed him. His legs buckled. A burning pain shot down his arm, familiar, unmistakable, and terrifying. His last breath escaped in a hoarse whisper. Bruno whirled around just in time to see him collapse. Liam hit the concrete hard, eyes wide, heart silent, soul caught between a scream and goodbye. Bruno's reaction was instant. He darted to Liam's side, nudging his chest with urgent force, whining, barking, pleading. Bruno pawed hard at the emergency button on Liam's radio. Nothing. The dog took the radio in his teeth and shook it violently until static burst through the channel. Then he bolted from the shadows, charging toward the squad, howling, feral and desperate. Tyler turned in annoyance. "Bruno, what the hell?" But Bruno didn't stop. He circled wildly, tore at Tyler's sleeve, then ran back into the dark, looking back with frantic urgency. Finally, realization cracked through arrogance. Officers sprinted after the dog. They found Liam crumpled, skin pale and lips tinged blue, his pulse absent beneath their trembling fingers. "No pulse, starting compressions," someone shouted. Bruno planted himself beside Liam, refusing to be moved. His chest heaved with terror, the kind only a creature without words can feel. The defibrillator paddles pressed to Liam's sternum. A jolt, his body lurched. Flatline. Again! Second shock, a beep, weak but there. A heartbeat returning from the brink. Bruno's howl cut off into a breathy whine, head pressed against Liam's shoulder. He wasn't losing his human tonight. Liam's heart had stopped, but Bruno had dragged him back to the world that still needed him, especially the daughter waiting for her father to come home. Morning crept into the ICU of Cincinnati General Hospital with the faint glow of winter light painting the walls in muted gold. Machines hummed like tired guardians, their blinking screens proving that Lieutenant Liam Parker was still alive. Barely. He lay motionless on the bed, his strong frame looking strangely small beneath the sterile sheets. His skin was pale, lips cracked from oxygen flow, and a faint bruise purpled along his jaw where he had struck the concrete. Tubes and wires hung like fragile lifelines from his chest. But the heart beneath them, though wounded, was stubborn. Even unconscious, Liam clung to life with the quiet tenacity of a man who had survived fire before, just never inside his own chest. Bruno lay curled on the cold hospital floor, massive paws tucked under him, head resting beside the wheels of Liam's bed. His black and tan coat looked dull under the fluorescent lights, and he refused to blink for long, terrified that if he looked away even for a moment, Liam's chest might stop rising again. Nurses tried to coax him out more than once, but the German shepherd's growl was soft yet immovable, the sound of loyalty turned into law. The door slid open, and Emma Parker rushed in. At 22, she was tall and lean like her late mother, with auburn hair tied into a messy bun from the overnight bus ride she took the moment she received the call. Her freckles stood out starkly against skin drained to color, and her green eyes, normally sparking with ambition, were wide with fear. She wore her cadet uniform from the Ohio Police Academy, the shirt wrinkled from hours clutched in her fists. She froze at the sight of her father, one hand covering her mouth as if holding back a scream. The other reached down to touch Bruno's head. The dog lifted his gaze, amber eyes heavy with grief. "Hey, buddy," she whispered, voice trembling. "You saved him. I know you did." She finally pulled her gaze to Liam, and the anguish hit full force. The man she'd always believed was indestructible looked breakable. The heart that had once carried her on shoulders now relied on electricity to keep beating. "He ignored the chest pain again, didn't he?" she said quietly, speaking to a memory more than to anyone in the room. A voice answered from the doorway. "Men like him think endurance is the cure for everything." Dr. Mason Reed, the attending cardiologist, stepped inside. In his late 40s, he was clean-shaven with dark hair going silver at the temples and deep-set eyes that revealed both exhaustion and compassion. His neatly pressed white coat mirrored his personality, precise, calm, always searching for solutions. Known for his steady hands in surgery and a calmness that could stop panic in its tracks, Mason had built a reputation on saving hearts that tried too hard for too long. "He's experienced a sudden cardiac arrest," he explained gently. "Your father survived because someone acted fast. When the heart stops outside a hospital, odds are very low." He looked at Bruno with newfound respect. "This partner of his changed the story." Emma swallowed hard. "He'll recover?" Mason hesitated. "He'll need a stent and ongoing monitoring. Surgery is scheduled for tomorrow morning. There's a chance, if he fights." Emma moved closer to her father, gripping his rough hand, still marked with faded burns from the fire all those years ago. She didn't cry. She refused. Not here, not when he needed strength more than tears. Meanwhile, outside in the hallway, tension simmered. Sergeant Tyler Brooks stood stiff-backed beside Captain Rebecca Hayes, the department's internal affairs officer. Hayes was around 40, with short blonde hair, sharp cheekbones, and blue eyes narrowed from years of spotting lies. Her posture radiated controlled authority. She had served as a military police before joining the force. Discipline and justice were the languages she spoke fluently. Tyler's face was strained, every muscle locked to hide the guilt roiling inside him. His knuckles whitened around the incident report clutched in his hand, one that blamed Liam entirely, desperate to protect his own shrinking ego. Hayes looked unimpressed. "Sergeant," she said, voice crisp, "I reviewed the preliminary statements. They conflict heavily with the footage I requested from the training yard and the locker room." Tyler's eyes flickered. Fear. "It was chaotic," he stammered. "People misremember things." "People misremember," she corrected, "but cameras don't." Tyler opened his mouth, but she cut him off. "I'll be speaking with Lieutenant Parker when he wakes, and I'll be reviewing your conduct closely." She leaned in just enough to make him flinch. "Pray he wakes up. Because if he doesn't, Bruno won't be the only one who wants answers." As she walked away, Tyler felt the phantom weight of Liam's collapse pressing on his conscience like a boot on his chest. In the ICU, Liam's eyes fluttered for the briefest moment. Not fully awake, but aware enough to chase the voice calling his name. Emma. His heart monitors blipped irregularly, as if trying to gather strength. Emma leaned closer, forehead touching the back of his hand. "Please, Dad," she whispered. "I still need you." Bruno nosed Liam's arm gently, as if adding his own plea. The heart monitor smoothed, one soft beep after another, small proof that this battle wasn't over. Liam Parker had always brought others home. Now, for the first time, he needed someone to bring him back. He wasn't done yet. Not with a dog guarding his heartbeat, not with a daughter fighting beside him. He would not let go. Dawn barely touched the skyline of Cincinnati when Liam Parker awoke to a world of blurred shapes and heavy breaths. His eyelids fluttered, and his vision swam until the fluorescent lights sharpened into focus above him. The sterile scent of disinfectant filled his lungs as if to remind him they still worked. His throat ached from the breathing tube recently removed, but when he saw Emma standing at his bedside, eyes swollen from worry and relief, he forgot about pain entirely. She grasped his hand, her usually confident grip trembling. "You scared me," she whispered. He tried to respond, but only a raspy sigh escaped. Bruno stood up, tail wagging once as if controlling his own excitement to avoid disturbing the fragile moment. He nudged Liam's forearm gently, warm breath huffing against the pale skin. Liam managed a hoarse whisper, "Hey, partner." Across the room, Dr. Mason Reed reviewed the heart monitor readings. His dark brows knit slightly above calm brown eyes that had guided patients through worse storms. He looked relieved, not surprised, and that steadiness grounded everyone around him. "You came back in time," he said, turning toward Liam with a calm authority, "but your heart still needs reinforcement. The surgery is in 2 hours. Rest your mind." Rest, a luxury Liam never mastered. His chest tightened, not from the weakened heart but the memory of the collapse, the sound of boots running, the look on Tyler's face when he fell. He remembered the shove, the anger in the younger man's eyes. "Footage," Liam breathed out, voice strained. Emma leaned closer. "What did he do? Dad, talk to me." Before he could continue, a sharp knock sounded on the door. Captain Rebecca Hayes entered, uniform crisp, her expression a blend of worry and resolve. Under the harsh hospital lighting, her sharp cheekbones seemed even stronger, like armor. Her military-trained presence demanded honesty. "Lieutenant Parker," she said, offering a respectful nod, "I'm sorry this happened, but I need your account." Liam's pulse quickened. Machine beeps spiked. Mason shot Hayes a warning look. "Keep him calm." Hayes straightened. "I'll be brief." She drew closer to the bed. "Sergeant Brooks claims you were unstable, that you escalated the confrontation." Bruno growled low, the fur on his neck bristling. Hayes noted it but continued. "However, surveillance shows you standing still, defending yourself minimally, and leaving without retaliation." Liam struggled to speak. His voice carried the weight of old battles. "He pushed, wanted me gone." Hayes placed a hand on the railing, steady but stern. Why would he risk his career like that? Liam closed his eyes. He thought of a burning building, a panicked boy clinging to him through smoke. Pale hair, blue eyes filled with terror. A mother screaming from behind the police tape. "I know him," Liam said at last. "Not from here, from Indiana. When he was just a kid, I carried him out of a fire." Hayes's breath caught. Both Emma and Mason looked stunned. Bruno's ears pricked forward, sensing the gravity of confession. Liam turned his gaze toward the window, light glinting against the sheen of tears he hated showing. "He hates that he needed someone," he whispered. "Some men break when saved." Hayes absorbed the truth, jaw tightening. "Thank you. We'll proceed appropriately." As she stepped back, the door opened again, this time revealing Chief Randall Moore, the head of the department. Randall was in his early 60s, tall, with square shoulders and salt-and-pepper hair cropped neatly. His face carried the kind of authority earned through decades of taking responsibility for others' mistakes. His deep-set blue eyes were unreadable, but the deep lines around them hinted at many sleepless nights. "Parker," he began, voice resonant with the leader's gravity. "You should be home, fishing or yelling at sports on TV, not fighting for your life." Liam managed a weak grin. Never liked fishing. Randall stepped closer, lowering his voice. Internal Affairs is already on, Brooks. I'll make sure this doesn't get buried under excuses. Bruno shifted, watching every move protectively. Randall reached down, scratching behind his ear. You, big guy, are getting a steak dinner when he's stable. Bruno's tail thumped once. Surgery preparations began soon after. Nurses, one of them a short, soft-spoken woman named Nina Clark, mid-30s with curly brown hair and a gentle patience reserved for the most fragile patients, arrived to transfer him. "We've got you," Nina said, confidence soothing like warm syrup. Emma kissed Liam's forehead. "I'll be right here when you wake up," she vowed, gripping his hand until they finally separated her fingers from his. As they rolled him toward the operating room, Liam's fading consciousness clung to one truth. Life had given him another chance, and now he needed to use it not just to live, but to protect those who believed in him, especially the partner who kept his heartbeat alive, and the daughter who kept his soul from breaking. He let his breathing synchronize with the beeping machine. Slow, steady, a warrior's heart learning a new rhythm. He wasn't done yet. The operating room glowed with antiseptic brightness, as if the lights themselves were determined to ward off death. Lieutenant Liam Parker lay beneath them, chest rising in shallow but steady breaths while machines and humans prepared to undertake the battle his body could no longer fight alone. Dr. Mason Reed, dressed in deep blue scrubs, tightened the knot of his mask. His face, calm but focused, reflected in the metal of surgical instruments lined like soldiers ready for war. At his side stood Dr. Olivia Hart, a cardiothoracic surgeon in her early 40s with sharp cheekbones and jet-black hair neatly secured beneath her cap. Her hazel eyes held fierce intelligence, and her voice carried a clipped precision shaped by years of battlefield triage in Afghanistan. She had once watched too many brave hearts fail. Losing another wasn't an option she tolerated. Liam's mind drifted under anesthesia, spinning through memories like scattered photographs. Emma's first day of kindergarten, Bruno's pause stepping into his life, the burning apartment building in Indiana, a terrified young Tyler clinging to him while smoke clawed at their lungs. He fought to cling to those images. They were anchors keeping him alive. Meanwhile, in the waiting area outside the OR, Emma Parker paced tight circles on the cold tile floor. She twisted the chain of her mother's silver necklace around her fingers, an old nervous habit. Her auburn hair was frizzy from stress, freckles vivid against her pale worry. Every beep from the heart monitor visible through the observation glass felt like a countdown on her soul. Bruno sat upright at her side, tail still, ears high, an alert guardian refusing rest. Anyone who approached too quickly received a warning stare, and he only softened when Emma's hand brushed his head. The double doors hissed open. Captain Rebecca Hayes approached, her boots clicking sharply. She looked more exhausted than before. The night had drained some steel from her posture, but sharpened determination in her eyes. Next to her walked Officer Daniel Reed, a young patrolman with sandy brown curls, broad shoulders, and an earnest face untouched by cynicism. Reed was known for fairness, too soft, some would say, but he wore that softness like armor. "Emma," Hayes began gently, "we've taken Brooks into custody for questioning. He's agitated." Emma swallowed. "He shouldn't even be here." Hayes nodded. "He insists he needs to speak with your father. Claims it's important." Bruno growled at the mere mention of Tyler, muscles stiffening like tension made fur. Reed reached a cautious hand toward the dog, but stopped when amber eyes flashed a warning. "Easy, boy." he murmured. "We're on your side." Inside the OR, Mason and Olivia worked in a rhythm of quiet control. Mason threaded a thin stent into Liam's damaged artery while Olivia ensured bleeding was contained. Every second felt like glass cracking under pressure. Mason's voice remained low but resolute. "Come on, Lieutenant. Your daughter needs you. That stubborn dog needs you. Hell, even we need you." A faint beep shifted on the monitor. The heart's rhythm wavered, hesitant, fragile. Olivia glanced up, jaw tightening. "Push epinephrine." A nurse, a tall woman with braided red hair named Clara Jennings, brisk and experienced, administered the dose. Silence followed. Then, thump, a stronger rhythm. Not perfect, but promising. Mason let out a slow breath. "He's fighting." "Good," Olivia whispered. "So are we." In the hallway, the tension broke when a harsh voice echoed. Tyler Brooks, flanked by two internal officers, pushed forward. His blond hair was disheveled, his normally arrogant posture cracked with panic. His blue eyes, once icy, now looked haunted. "Let me talk to him," he yelled. "He saved me once. He has to hear." Bruno lunged, barking violently, teeth bared in a protective fury that vibrated through the floor. Reed grabbed Tyler's arm, voice sharp. "Back off, Sergeant. You've done enough." Tyler faltered, chest heaving. The bravado that once fueled his cruelty had evaporated. What remained was a frightened boy trapped in a man's uniform. Emma stepped forward, rage flooding her voice. "You almost killed him. Stay away from us." Tyler stumbled back, grief collapsing his shoulders. He covered his face, perhaps for the first time realizing the cost of a heart hardened by shame. "I never meant—" His voice cracked. Words failed him. Doors swung open again. Mason emerged, mask pulled down, eyes tired, but filled with cautious victory. Emma rushed toward him, Bruno matching her pace. Mason placed a hand on her shoulder. "He made it through the surgery. It was close, but he's alive." Emma choked on a sob, relief breaking like a storm. Bruno whined and pressed his head into Mason's coat, as if saying thank you in the only language he knew. Mason smiled faintly. "He'll need time and strength, and both of you." Emma nodded fiercely. As Mason walked back toward the ICU, he paused, glancing at Bruno. "You're one hell of a partner," he said softly. The dog's tail swayed once. Not joy, just certainty. Liam had survived the knife, the stopped heartbeat, and the shadows of his past. Now he would wake to a world where the truth awaited him. And so did redemption. He was not finished. Not yet. 3 weeks later, spring eased into Cincinnati, like a gentle apology for winter's cruelty. The sky above District 3's field training area stretched bright and blue, a soft breeze rustling new leaves as if nature were applauding a second chance. Lieutenant Liam Parker stood with careful posture, still a little pale, his chest beneath a light jacket taped and healing. The surgical scar remained tender, but hope had filled the space. Fear once lived. His tired, blue-gray eyes carried warmth today, especially when they rested on his daughter. Emma Parker, now in full cadet uniform, hair braided neatly down her back, stood proudly beside him. She had gained a new strength, shaped not by training but by almost losing the man she loved most. Her smile trembled, but joy steadied it. Bruno sat front and center, golden sunlight gleaming over his black and tan coat. His ears perked, his amber eyes alert in every direction, as though determined never to let danger sneak up again. The once restless tension in him had softened into loyal watchfulness. Close by, Chief Randall Moore addressed the small gathering of officers and friends. His usually stern face carried a rare grin that deepened the laugh lines around his eyes. "We are here to honor courage," Randall said. "Courage of a lieutenant who survived the battlefield twice, once abroad and once right here. And courage of a K-9 who refused to let death win." He turned slightly, nodding toward Sergeant Tyler Brooks, who stood awkwardly at the edge of the crowd, hands clasped behind his back. His blond hair was trimmed shorter, as if he were trying to shed the person he used to be. Shame had taken arrogance's place in his eyes. He wore no tactical gear now, just a plain uniform that made him seem younger, almost vulnerable. Captain Rebecca Hayes watched him closely, prepared for any slip. After Internal Affairs reviewed the footage and statements, Tyler was demoted, placed under strict supervision, and ordered into a probationary patrol program. It wasn't mercy, it was a chance to earn redemption. Slowly, Tyler stepped forward, boots crunching the grass. The entire field held its breath. He stood before Liam, words caught in his throat. Finally, he managed, voice rough, "I owe you a life. Twice." Liam's jaw tightened, not with anger, but with the weight of old memories. "You don't owe me. Just become the man your father wanted you to be." Silence. Then Tyler breathed out, something inside him cracking open. "I'm trying," he said, and for once meant every syllable. He extended a small faded ribbon, one Liam had never expected to see again. A firefighter commendation ribbon, smoke-stained. "From that night," Tyler said, "my mom kept it. She said it belonged to the man who saved us." Liam swallowed hard. The wind cooled the heat in his eyes before tears could form. He accepted the ribbon, and in that moment, forgiveness became possible. Applause rose as Dr. Mason Reed and Dr. Olivia Hart approached next. Mason, calm, sturdy, and quietly proud, shook Liam's hand. "Your heart is healing well. Just remember, no hero stunts for a while." Olivia, with her black hair tucked into a ponytail and hazel eyes bright with humor, added, "At least for a few more months. Consider it doctor's orders, soldier." Liam laughed, a sound he hadn't felt strong enough to release in a long time. "No promises," he teased. When Randall whistled for attention, everyone fell silent once more. "Bruno, step forward." The German shepherd obeyed instantly, back straight as a general at inspection. Randall knelt, placing a silver medal dangling from a blue ribbon around Bruno's neck. "For unwavering loyalty and life-saving action," he declared, "Bruno is hereby awarded the Medal of Valor." Cheers erupted, cameras flashed. Bruno tilted his head as if wondering whether this meant he'd get extra treats later. Emma knelt, hugging the dog tight. "You're my hero," she whispered. Bruno licked her cheek once, tail sweeping wide in happiness. Liam looked at them, his daughter and his partner, and breathed in the air of another tomorrow he nearly didn't get. Hayes stepped close, voice soft but firm. "When you're fully recovered, I'd like to talk about you returning as a K-9 instructor. We need leaders who build others up, not tear them down." Liam smiled, warm and certain. "I'd like that." The celebration rolled into easy laughter. Someone turned on music from a car speaker. Officers mingled, tension replaced with camaraderie. Bruno trotted back to Liam's side, pressing his head into his hand. Liam knelt, scratching behind those loyal ears. "We're home," he said quietly, "both of us." A new heartbeat pulsed steady in his chest, not just repaired, but renewed, because hope wasn't borrowed from machines anymore. It lived in the daughter who wouldn't let him go, in the chief who still believed in him, in the surgeons who fought beside him, in the partner with paws who refused to leave his side. Liam Parker stood beneath the wide Cincinnati sky, feeling sunlight and future on his skin. And for the first time in a long while, he believed the best days were still ahead. Sometimes miracles don't arrive with wings or halos. Sometimes they walk beside us on four paws, guided by the quiet strength God places in every loyal heart. In a world that can be harsh and uncertain, may we never forget, faith, love, and courage can bring us back from even the darkest moments. If this story touched you, please share your thoughts in the comments, give a like, and subscribe for more uplifting tales. May God bless and protect you and those you love, today and every day.